afternoon. This is Pam with Follow Your Brush, and welcome to my watercolor world. I'm kind of going back in time, shall we say back to the future. Welcome if you've never been here before. I love watercolor and pigments and paints, and I'm always trying something new. And today I'm looking back at something that I had purchased that I kind of put aside for a while, and I'm getting back to it. So that's my adventure today. And I've actually spent a lot of time doing this. But welcome if you're new, and thank you for joining me. And if you've been here before and recently subscribed, I'm so glad to have you. I know I've been getting a lot of comments from my videos, and I appreciate that. Like and subscribe, and all those things that we do on YouTube. Today, I'm going back to the future. I went back to my office. Well, actually not my office, my studio, art studio. And I was looking for something else. And in the process, I discovered, first of all, I had two brand new Etch-A-Sketch sitting back there that I hadn't used. Oh, I see what it is. I had given this one to my daughter. Aha. All right, don't tell her. I found it. She hasn't been using it. Anyway, so I'm going to play with that and do some swatching. But another thing I found is my Michael Harding paints. Now, this says Michael Harding August 23. So that's 2023. I purchased a whole slew of these watercolor paints from Michael Harding. The reason I got them back out, I used them exclusively for about 6 months and absolutely loved them. Then I got sidetracked with other new things, other colors, other brands, because that's what I do. I'm always just trying something new. And I kind of forgot about them. So today I went back and got this palette out of my studio from the shelf. And I already had this chart made up for these colors. What I had done is the tin itself is from Core Paints, if you're familiar with Core. And this was a tin that I had purchased. It has mixing wells in the lid. And it had tubes for Core Paints. And I have those in a drawer. But I had taken my Michael Harding paints and carefully put them all together. This is just about all of them that I have. And I think it came out to about 41 or 42. And so I refreshed the palettes, and then I have some old palettes in the sink right now of other colors that I just need to be cleaned and washed. And they're soaking in soapy water and Dawn right now. Just getting some of the remnants off. And I'm just kind of cleaning up for the new year. How about that? I might even take a bath, huh? But I thought we'd just do a swatching video. And stop talking, woman. Just swatch. So let me tell you what I've got here. And I really, 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 really enjoy Michael Harding paints. And I just saw a video on YouTube this morning, actually, where Michael Harding was talking about some of his favorite colors in his watercolors. So let me find the best way to do this. I'm going to put this out of the way a little bit, so you're not going to see all the colors. If you can, well, it's in the shadow. But I will definitely zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just using a synthetic number 6 round that I have that was just literally just kind of laying around. And the first one that I'm going to do, the first row, well, let me do it. Well, no, that's not going to work either. I'm sorry. The first row that I'm going to do, the first one is lemon yellow. Now, one thing about Michael Harding paints is that they are extremely pigmented, and especially fresh out of the tube. Now, this pan has been sitting here for a while, so it is not freshly poured. but when they're fresh out of the tube, they are really, really, really pigmented. The next one, I'll do it this way. Well, actually, I did refill that a little bit. I just topped it off. The next one is called Bright Yellow Lake. So, next to one another, you know, I don't know. These look kind of similar, but they're different. This one is Yellow Benzodiazepine or something of that nature. I can't pronounce it. But it's a really pretty clean yellow. So I like that one. The next one is called Turner's Yellow. This one I did re-pour this morning because it had dried up in the palette. It's a bit more opaque, but it is a really pretty yellow. So that's the Turner's Yellow. The next one is Deep Yellow, Yellow Lake Deep. Now, if I were to start mixing colors, you know, this would go on like forever, wouldn't it? But we're not going to go there. Let me try it this way. Maybe I can do it this way. Yeah, I can do it that way, and you can still see the colors. So that's, let me bring this down a little bit more. Yellow Lake Deep. The next one is New Gamboge. And this is one that I actually use a lot when I'm painting, is the New Gamboge. I like New Gamboge. So we're seeing subtle differences in each of these yellows. The next one we have is Quinn Gold, which is one of my favorites in any brand. Doesn't matter who it is, where it might be. I just love Quinn Gold. So there's the Quinn Gold. The next one is interesting. This is called Quinn Bronze. And that's a really pretty color. And I can imagine, like I said, I haven't used them for a while, but I imagine that would be an excellent, excellent mixer for dark colors and fall colors. And just, yeah, it'd be really pretty. The next one is Burnt Sienna. And I love Burnt Sienna. That's one of my favorite colors for mixes. I've used it for skin tones. Used it for trees, used it for landscapes. It's just a really nice, a really, really, really lovely mixer. And then we're going to finish that first row with Raw Umber. And I did it. I made it through the row okay. So there we go. That's this first row. So that's 4, 8, 9, 10. 10 colors there. Let's go to our next row. Hopefully you can see these. Not quite. I'll move this over a little bit more, and then maybe you can see them. The next row. Move down. Get it all in. There we go. That's better. But I do want you to be able to see the colors as they go down as well. Okay, here's my next row. Is what I'm going to do is this one right here. And this one starts with Pazuli Red. These are extremely pigmented, and also they're honey based. So when you do put them out fresh from the tube, you do want to give them time to kind of sit out and dry for a couple days. I made that mistake and had them go everywhere in my palette, so I'm trying to not do that this time. This one is Red Ochre of France. Also very, very, very pretty. Red Ochre of France. A little darker there. Potter's Pink, one of my absolute favorites. Granulates, and I use this all the time. I know friends who are like, what in the world? Why would you even have it in your palette? But I love the granulation in it, and I love it when I'm doing trees, a base of doing trees in the forest. I just kind of hesitated because I splattered some paint there. I really love the Potter's Pink. Gives me a nice granulation and a base for my trees. So, next one is Rose Madder. And I think there's a question on the light fastness on this one. If that's a concern for you, you might want to check that one. But if you're just doing work in your sketchbook or work that's going to be, not in direct light, I think you'll be good for several years, at least. The next one is Quinn Rose. It's another really, really pretty color. This is such a beautiful palette. Quinn Coral. It's another nice color. They re-wet extremely easily. Some of these have been sitting for quite some time. Some of them I just refilled this morning, but even the ones that have been sitting for some time are re-wetting really quickly. This is Pyrrole Red. This is one that I refilled. Nice, brilliant red. Fun for Christmas. I was doing holly berries and went and got some holly berries actually out of my yard, only to discover that the holly berries in my yard actually aren't red like that. They're more of the burnt sienna and color, with maybe a hint of red. But unless I got them the wrong time of the year, they weren't holly berry red like I expected. The next one is Bright Pink. And as you can see, that has some opacity. Pretty color. Be a nice springtime color. And then we have Cad Orange. Cadmium Orange. Obviously, a lot of these are convenience colors and aren't absolutely super necessary if you're like to mix your colors. You can just do, get your basic primaries. But I was so enamored with these paints that I just kept buying and kept buying and kept buying, obviously, till I have like, I think 42 here in this pan. The next one is called Vivid Blue. And I did refill this one this morning. Got a lot of pretty blues here. That's where that water splattered it, so you can see how it spreads. We have Cerulean Blue. Now I'm doing all of these wet on dry. So if you want to play with them wet on wet, obviously they're going to be different. You can see your Potter's Pink granulating here where I dropped the water. I just love Potter's Pink. I just love Potter's Pink. Blue Verditer is this next one. Kind of reminds me of My mother used to like Wedgwood china from England. It kind of reminds me of her Wedgwood china, the color of her Wedgwood china. Then we have lapis lazuli, which was originally the only blue available even for years and years. The pigment comes from Afghanistan, and this is one of the most ancient formulated colors. It also does some granulation. So this is a great color to have. And then we have phthalo blue red shade. This is a nice blue. This is pretty thick here. Water that out a little bit, see what it looks like, just out of curiosity. Pretty. I love that. And this is what the next one is, one of my absolute favorite colors, and that's Indanthrone blue. Let me see, where am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I thought. Indanthrone blue. This is one of my most absolute favorite colors when it comes to blues. I love Indanthrone blue, and I also love Prussian blue on Daniel Smith's line. So you can see how that kind of, yeah, nice, so pretty. The next one, I have a combination. This one's called Caribbean Turquoise. And I have these in 2 little half pans. Just because that happened to be how I had it at the time, and so I didn't bother to change them out. Caribbean Turquoise, and it's such a beautiful color. Let me just add some water to that so you can see how that works out. It's so pretty for water and oceans. And this one, he was interesting when he talked about this one. It's called Belladonna, and he remembers it from when he was a child, and he had a story about it with his grandmother, with the belladonna, and the actual plant itself is poison, but the color is so beautiful. And it's just a really pretty belladonna. And my next one here is Imperial Purple. Now, you don't need all these colors, obviously. You can mix and match, but I bought this in 2023 when I was just gung-ho. I started with just a few, and then I just couldn't stop. I just kept buying them. And I used them exclusively for about 6 months without using any other paint. This is Cobalt Teal. This is also a more opaque color. Pretty. Also, you know, very pretty color. Add some water to that so you can see it. And then the next one is called Aqua Green. And it too looks very similar to the Cobalt. I have to check the pigment numbers to see what the pigment numbers is on that. They look different in they look very different. Look at this. This is the Aqua Green. This is the Cobalt Teal. So they look very different in the pan, but when they go down, it doesn't really look that different. So that's interesting. I'll have to check the numbers. All right, let's go on to our third row. And here we're getting into our greens. We have green gold, which I like green gold in just about any collection. Since I'm doing this now, let's go ahead and add some water to it, see how it comes out. This is a neat color. This is called moss green. And I like it too. Let me dampen this some more. Kind of reminds me a little bit of maybe a little bit of undersea green from Daniel Smith. Granulates maybe in a similar fashion. And the next one is Hooker's Green, and I like Hooker's Green. When I used to paint in acrylics a lot, Hooker's Green was one of my go-to colors, and I don't really have it in my other brands and palettes, but I do like it in this Michael Harding set. So there's my Hooker's Green. This one, next one is Viridian, and at first I wasn't real impressed with this, but then I discovered, yeah, I did have use for it at times. So, you don't, like I said before, you don't really have to have all these colors because they're just convenience colors. You can do without them. But they are pretty. They are really pretty. This one I really like. This one is called Earth of Cyprus. And it's such a beautiful brown color. And I really like this one. In fact, when I was going to top off my colors, my tube is almost empty. This next one is called Warm Yellow Light. It's not exactly white. It's not really a buff titanium to compare it to that. I don't know if you can even see it there. Hopefully you can see that. Let me try to zoom in. It's called Warm Light Yellow. I said it backwards, but Warm Light Yellow. This next one I also like as well, because there are times when I'm doing I was doing something yesterday and it has a concrete wall. This is called Natural Gray. It also has some opacity. Great color. See how that comes out. Yeah, that's nice, really nice. So for snow scenes and wintertime and some of these light blues and some grays. This next one I really like. He calls this one Purple Haze. It also is granulating, as you can already see in that swatch. When I add the water to it, definitely a granulating color. They call it Purple Haze. And the next one is another one that I like. I've run out of room on that row, even though it's in that row, but I'll put it down here. And this is called Cosmic Blue. This is another great color for winter skies, snow. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So that's Cosmic Blue. Look how this is granulating. The water is just going into it. I love that. Then down here in my bottom row, I have a neutral tint. We're all familiar with neutral tint. It's kind of a blue leaning. Seems like, anyway. Neutral tint will take on the color of whatever you mix it with if you want to tone it down. And the next one is Indigo, which is another one of my favorites. that's super blue, dark blue. But I love it. That and Dancing Blue, I think, are my favorite colors. And the last one that I have on here is a brand new tube that I just opened. It's called Italian Burnt Ochre. I found it back in my studio that I had ordered it and never put it in a pan. So I guess if you want to go Christmas shopping, you need to come to my house and go through my studio. Because I find all kind of stuff. I find sketchbooks and colors and paints and that maybe I haven't looked into for a while. So those are my Michael Harding colors, and I'm going to just kind of devote myself to playing with these for a while. And I've got them all labeled in here with magic marker on the sides. I didn't used to do that. I learned. I have magnets in there to keep them to adhere to the palette, the tin, because it is magnetic. And then if I have a bigger area, space, I have this, the lid has nice mixing wells. And so there you go. I just wanted to share what I was doing this Saturday after Thanksgiving, just chilling and cleaning things up and going through my Michael Harding colors. And I'm going to start using them some more. Isn't that pretty? That's that Quinn Rose. That's a pretty color. And that's Quinn Coral. Just gorgeous. I like that one. I think that's got to be one of my favorites. So, thanks for watching, and hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving if you live in the U.S., and I'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye.